It's 1988 and I'm in Dublin, Ireland. Not a good time to be there because of the troubles in the north, but I'm there to have dinner with Declan, a friend of mine, who is a journalist, a reporter actually, for the RTE. And the RTE is the network, the country's network for news and programming. In the course of the evening we have dinner and then we end up having drinks at the Gresham Hotel, a major hotel there in town. And he told many stories that night, but one really stays with me, and this is the story. It's about a man who recently was widowed, and he takes his 2 children and goes to the south of Spain for a wonderful holiday. And by the time they get there, the boys are just absolutely knackered. They're in bad spirits. They're wrestling and tussling with each other. But he puts them into their holiday costumes, and down they go to the water. And he sits down, and next to him is another man who's also there with his children. And the children immediately take off and begin to have a great time. And so they talk with each other, and they have similar stories about losing their spouses and the kids and trying to make things right. And they fall into friendship while they're there. And over the course of the time, the weeks-long vacation, they became pretty good friends. The man that he met is from Dublin, and his name is Patrick. And John, who's from London, finds that this is a perfect opportunity to talk about the things that are happening in his life, and especially with the boys. But aside from that, they became friends over a steak and a beer and all the things that men want to do, to talk about football and such. So at the end of the week, John from London says to Patrick from Dublin, "I've had a great time, probably the best that I've had in a very long time, and I have to tell you thank you. And in fact, I've been thinking about this for several days. I'd like to thank you in this way. I have a business, and my business is advertising, and I'd love to do something for you. Do you also have a business, or do you work for someone else?" And Patrick says, "In fact, I do. I own a business. It's a family business. We've had it for more than 100 years. He says, "Well, I'd like to do an advertisement for you." And so he talks him into it. And so they make plans to meet up a month from then, and that's what happens. Patrick comes to London, and he comes to his business, and he comes into the office, and hands are shaking all the way around. And he says, "I hope this is going to work. I mean, Murphy's Nails is not exactly an exciting product to talk about." But everyone goes into the viewing room, lights go down, they all sit, and the lights then on the screen come up, and there's Jesus Christ, and he's slogging through the mud, and he's dragging this heavy cross over his shoulder. The weight of it takes it down to his knees, and as he's going along, the centurions are behind him, and they're flogging him and whipping him and flogging him. And finally they get to the point where they lay the cross down, and they lay him out on it, and they take the nails and they pick them up, and he looks into the camera, and the centurion says, "The best nails you can use, Murphy's Nails." Wow, Mr. Murphy jumps from his seat and shouts, "No, you can't do this. Burn every copy you have. If this gets out in Ireland, I'll be ruined. My country is 95% Catholic. It will be awful. It will kill me." Well, of course, John from London, who owns the business and prides himself on producing the best commercials, is just heartbroken that this can happen to someone who's a friend. And so he says, "Give us a week. I swear we'll make this right. Give us a week. I am so sorry. I don't know how this happened." And so away Patrick goes. But a week later, trusting his friend, he comes back. And into the room he comes again. The lights go down. Everyone is in their seats comfortably placed. And up on the screen comes the light and the film, and it's Jesus Christ. And he's slogging through the mud, and he's dragging this heavy cross, and he's fallen to his knees nearly with the weight of it. And behind him, the centurions are flogging him and slashing and flogging him. And they get to the point where they lay the cross down. They put Jesus on the cross. They pick up the nails and the hammer, and they bang and the hammer and the nails into the hand, and the hand into the feet. And they take this heavy cross and they lift it up, drop it into its hole, at which point Christ falls to the ground, gets up in amazement and runs off into the distance. You could barely see him, and then he's gone. The centurion picks up the hammer, picks up the nail, looks into the camera and says, would never have happened if we'd used those Murphy's nails. And that's my story.